We have a ton of news about the fourth stimulus check, Social Security benefits, SSI and SDI. Continue watching this video because you definitely don't want to miss out on this. Now Republicans in the House of Representatives passed a debt ceiling bill last week with a provision to enact a new work requirement for those seeking federal assistance, claiming the measure would actually help cut federal spending. It would require millions of low-income Americans who receive food stamps and health insurance from the federal government to work longer hours in order to qualify for benefits. This proposed provision is among several demands that Republicans are making in exchange for raising the nation's borrowing limit for about a year. House Republicans say the work requirements will reduce government spending and increase employment, but some economists are skeptical about this and that they will result in significant savings for the federal government. Republicans have not budged in their refusal to raise debt limit unconditionally. Pressure is mounting on Joe Biden and lawmakers to reach an agreement to raise or suspend the debt limit, with the Treasury Department warning on Monday that the U.S. could run out of money. But now, soon after the Treasury's announcement, the president extended an offer to meet Kevin McCarthy and reversed his previous stance to not negotiate with Republicans. The Budget Office said last week that the stricter work requirements proposed by the House Republicans would reduce the federal spending by $120 billion over the next decade, a small portion of the roughly $4.8 trillion in savings the bill would generate. About 600,000 Americans would lose health insurance, while about 275,000 Americans will lose access to SNAP. The Republicans' debt ceiling package would also impose strict eligibility requirements, and for many Americans, the new work requirements can make the situation worse. So if you're looking for extra financial aid, you want to reapply for these programs. The Affordable Connectivity Program is a benefit program that helps ensure that households can afford the broadband they need for work, school, healthcare, and more. The benefit provides a discount of up to $30 a month toward internet service for eligible households. Eligible households can also receive a one-time discount of up to $100 just to purchase a laptop, desktop, or computer. If you receive SNAP or SSI benefits, you are eligible for the financial aid. If you receive SNAP, Medicaid, or SSI benefits, you are eligible for this financial aid. There is also the Low-Income Home Energy Assistance Program that helps keep families safe and healthy through initiatives that assist families with energy costs. And the program provides federally funded assistance to reduce the costs associated with home energy bills. And with inflation on the rise since last fall, Americans have been significantly affected by the rising cost of goods and services, and more than 8 in 10 Americans now say the economy is either an extremely or very important issue in determining how they will vote. Folks, there's a ton of news about the fourth stimulus check, Social Security benefits that I want you to know, so be sure to continue watching this video because you definitely don't want to miss out on this. We have a ton of good news to come. Biden and his administration unveiled a brand new plan for how they would take action to help the American people financially. Eligible Americans may be able to claim up to $500 in extra stimulus cash. So President Biden spoke to a crowd of union supporters this week, hoping to put a positive spin on his economic record and made inflation not seen in decades. And Biden sought to reassure the people that tackling the worst inflation in the nation has seen in decades is a top priority for him and the administration. The speech came a day before the Federal Reserve could raise interest rates as much as 3/4 of a percentage point, as it attempts to get inflation under control. The president acknowledged that inflation is sapping the strength of a lot of families as the price of gas and food skyrockets. But even as he sought to emphasize administration, it's fully focused on the problem. The president conceded he is left without many options to fight the price hikes. The president acknowledged inflation is sapping the strength of a lot of families as the price of gas and food skyrockets. But even as he sought to emphasize his administration is fully focused on this, the president conceded he is left without many options to fight the price hikes, particularly in a narrowly divided Senate. Folks, I do want to see President Biden do something for the American people, and I hope he can step up to the plate and give out stimulus checks before it's too late. Biden stated the problem is Republicans in Congress are doing everything they can to stop the plans to bring down costs on ordinary families, and that's why the results are not finished either. And Biden on Tuesday touted his administration's efforts to the nation's recovery from the crisis. He also mentioned some actions are taken, and others he's considering, to fight inflation, but Biden has previously said there is not much more he's able to do that will have a noticeable effect. He's also mentioned some actions taken right now and others he's considering to fight inflation, but Biden has previously said that there is not much more he's able to do that will have a noticeable effect. The White House has been trying for months to demonstrate its commitment to dampening inflation and bringing down soaring prices that are placing stress on American families. So combined with a dropping stock market and intense warnings from high-powered CEOs, the economy has become the White House's top political problem and priority. But the president's spokesperson argues that Americans will be able to weather the economic storm thanks to the actions that Biden took in office. And now the Minnesota's frontline workers are able to pay and apply for their share of $500 million in hero pay. Employees, however, must take certain steps to comply with notification requirements. The Minnesota governor signed the Frontline Worker Pay Law, authorizing state-funded bonus and payments to various frontline workers, including assisted living employees. Employers must post a notice about the program at each work site and provide papers on how to get it, and provide papers on how to receive the check.
Do that job better to make sure the Western drought does not significantly get worse, but we can improve.
First, thank you to this committee for the investment of $8.3 billion. For just investment in storage, it's roughly equivalent in the last 18 months of this administration that the previous administration invested. So we invested $461 million in storage alone. Resources are always of assistance, but really it's having this dialogue.
How quick is it going to be put out? How quick will that money be invested?
Some of those we've already put out. Frankly, there's some projects that we're working on, Los Vaqueros in California being an example of it.
Mr. Ensminger?
I think Congress needs to make massive investments in agricultural efficiencies. I agree with Mr. O'Toole that we need to prioritize food security, but we can't balance the structural deficit by evacuating cities. So we're going to need to make our ability to grow the same amount of food with less water a priority.
Dr. Hall.
I think certainly one of the more urgent issues is providing the information that we need, and that includes continuing robust support for the USGS and NRCS that manage our data systems, approving Senator Cortez Masto's bill to implement OpenET in the USGS. And I think more broadly, the support for giving the Bureau of Reclamation the broad flexibility to work with states on new approaches like groundwater management and groundwater storage. Thank you.
Mr. Stern?
Well, Senator, as you know, we wouldn't at CRS necessarily recommend any one specific approach, but I would say that there is more support among observers for activities that can be done from the ground up and stakeholder-driven things that may vary from one basin to the next than there is for top-down, more command and control types of federal activity.
Mr. O'Toole, do you have anything else you want to add to something you think would be the most urgent thing we could do?
Senator, I testified in front of the World Bank last year as part of the climate meetings I went to, and the biggest word that they appreciated was scale. And in a meeting with the major foundations Sunday on the forest, they said, we're nibbling. And that's the problem.
In 2018, we have